they would like to watch the session. It's my great pleasure to introduce Michelle Di Russo, who is the Cornell Orchestra Designate for next school year. And I think we're in really good hands. I've known Michelle in various settings, and I really admired her work as a conductor and as a musician. So it's a really a great pleasure to have this opportunity to get to know her better. And so I'm really hoping Danielle and Tim, you will represent the students to ask her questions about her plans for next year with the Cornell orchestras. And let's welcome her.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm super excited to be able to work with all of you. I know you're all very busy, so for all of you watching this recording, I'm very excited to meet you all very soon. So a little bit about me and my past and what brought me to conducting. I started dancing when I was 3 years old, and that was the path I thought that would take me through life. And I started taking voice lessons and playing piano when I was around 15. So I got into music a little later than the usual. And I felt that musical theater is what I wanted to do. And I was doing that kind of full time. I was performing in TV shows and acting and dancing and doing that. And I thought, oh, that's it. So then I started studying conducting because my dad told me, Michelle, you need to go to the university or I won't let you do musical theater, which maybe some of you can relate. And so that's when I saw orchestral conducting at the university. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. So I prepared a whole summer. I had to learn a bunch of harmony and counterpoint and all the things that I didn't know to prepare for it. But I passed the exam. I was the second in points, in the high points you had to have to enter. And I was like, great. So I continued doing both parallelly, and I got into this professional musical theater company, and I was doing the kind of Broadway thing of Argentina, because I'm from there and I didn't say it. I was born and raised there, but like 8 shows a week and performing a 6-month season and trying to still do university. And to be honest, I had my first final exam of conducting, which was do Beethoven 5, first movement, no stops. You need to make it through. If you don't, you fail, kind of thing. Very, very old-fashioned school of conducting, but it works. And when I stood in front of the orchestra and I felt that sound, that energy, that connection to the musicians, I was like, this is it. I don't care if I need to turn around my career. So I turned around absolutely my career, dedicated full time to conducting, graduated from orchestra conducting in my undergraduate, which is not common. And then I came to the US chasing the dream of being a conductor and did my master's at the University of Kentucky and then my doctoral degree at Arizona State University, where I wrote my dissertation actually about how female conductors are perceived and what challenges they have, but not only female conductors, but the intersectionality, sorry, that's a hard word in English, between female conductors that are immigrants in the US and what extra challenges they have regarding visa status and how they are perceived by orchestras. So that was what I wrote my dissertation in. And in between, I gathered experience, fortunately, working with Tito Munoz at the Phoenix Symphony, covering for them, being the assistant conductor of the Youth Phoenix Symphony there. I participated at the Cabrillo Music Festival 3 times with Marian Alsop and also with Christy Macellaro. And that's where my full passion for new music was just turned on. And so that's something I really want to continue, that Chris has done such a beautiful job in performing amazing works. And I actually went to Cortona and studied with Chris too, which is funny how life brings you back in a circle. And I was very fortunate to have my kind of debut as a guest conductor a week ago with the North Carolina Symphony, doing an educational concert. Actually a kind of Spanish-English bilingual version of Peter and the Wolf, introducing words in Spanish, which is something that I'm interested in doing next year with you all, if it's a piece that you would like to do. And I think that it also would match our instrumentation requirements. And I also did Carnival of the Animals, which is another wonderful educational piece. And yeah, so I've been very fortunate of embarking in projects I'm super passionate about. This year with the pandemic, I was a little more online like you all were. So I started this organization with a couple of female conductors called Girls Who Conduct, to encourage more women conductors and young girls. Actually, it goes through the range of ages 16 to 22. So that's why it's Girls Who Conduct. The idea is that we want to encourage younger female conductors to start conducting, because we feel that that's where the gap is. And if we were encouraged earlier, we would have a better preparation and more women in the field. And yeah, that's all about me, more or less.
So I'm my experience working with Michelle at Cortona Sessions for New Music. It was so rewarding because and this was before the pandemic, where we had a chance to have Michelle and actually Barry was Barry there at that
Yeah,
summer. So Barry Sharp, who had been one of the TAs for the Cornell orchestras in the past. And then there was another British conductor. So the three conductors were working with young musicians and the performers at Cortona and premiering works by young composers. And so it's always a really special place, because rather than sort of work on Beethoven 5 or traditional repertoire, where in some ways the scores are changing daily as they get feedback from their performance faculty, and so sometimes we'll get a new score airdrop to our iPads on the second rehearsal, and it's completely changed. But it was really wonderful to work with Michelle in helping these new pieces. I mean, literally fresh. Well, I guess it's not fresh ink because it's all digital.
Yeah. Fresh technology, but it's true that it's just a different process. And I think as a conductor, and speaking from the musical point of view, learning how to bring a piece to life that you've never heard before and you've never experienced before and nobody has heard before. I think that was really curious on how you need to learn how to rehearse it. And also, my two colleagues were performing that piece completely different than I was. And so I think that there's more freedom in choosing what you want to do, musically speaking, than maybe Beethoven 5. Everybody does it a certain way. And if you go out of the way, it's, we're not sure if your interpretation is the correct one, right? So yeah, and I didn't mention it before, but I really believe in challenging all the things that are presented to us in the classical music. And I think that being a part of Chicago Sinfonietta this past year, project inclusion, and working with Mayan Chen, which is a former also Michigan student, she really challenges the perceptions of what a concert should be, right? And there's this concert that she brought a pep band at the end of it, and there were explosions and just like, mache paper falling from the sky and stuff like that. And I think that that's really important to experience as a musician and as an audience. So I'm just like really looking forward to working with you all and seeing what crazy ideas you have and we can put into place.
So I think the last thing people want is me talking. So I'm going to ask people to raise your hand, use the raise your hand function. I'll go to gallery view and see if you have questions. Just raise your hand and ask away. I think one of the, there you go. Tim, go ahead.
So you're talking about programming, and I know that's a really big thing, especially with this year. And we were talking about that with our speaker series, right? So how do you see our programming? I'm sure that's a question that's on everybody's mind. What do you envision as our program going to be for next year? And is there any thematic materials tying together? And you mentioned you've done like Carnival of the Animals and Peter and the Wolf, and we have a young person's concert. So did you have anything in particular for that too that you wanted to do with us?
Yes. So I'm a person that has a lot of crazy ideas. Some of them work out, some are too crazy to put into practice depending on the place you're trying to make them work, right? So I would really like to do Peter and the Wolf in a kind of bilingual version. And I need to get to Cornell, and learn what are the tools we have there, if we could put some subtitles, if we could have a screen, that kind of stuff. I'm still learning. I'm going to be learning what are our possibilities, but I would like to do that. I would like to be involved with the composition students. I know that sometimes they have pieces that could work for our children or educational concerts. And I think that if they're interested, and I'm pretty sure they would be interested if we asked them, hey, can you write this piece for this purpose, this instrumentation? I think it would be perfect. As I told you, I'm like the hugest, no, that's not even a word, but the biggest supporter of new music. I just love working with people. I'm a people person, which is weird considering I'm a conductor and we spend a lot of time alone studying our scores at home, you know. So any chance I get to speak with you all or work with composers, have them in the room and have their opinion and their input, I love it. I really like to have a collaborative process. In the end, it's my call, right? But I really like to hear what are all the options, because you get the best out of everything if you have different opinions and inputs and ideas, and then you make the best of it, right? And I bet you all experience this by working in teams at school. Sometimes you hate it, sometimes you love it, but it's part of the process, and I think it's nourishing. So that's my idea for educational concerts. But I really want to continue Chris' legacy of involving new music in our programs, and really listening to you all, and what are your needs as a student and as a person in this society. You know, it's music is meant to connect people, right? So I really want to hear what would make you feel accomplished as a musician and as a human being, and bring a message into our audience for sure.
Yeah, we do have super title abilities in Bailey Hall. So they can bring down the screen like kind of 30%, and then they've done super titles on there. So that's definitely possible. We also have a few composers in the orchestra as well, so I'm sure they'll be interested in giving you pieces.
Yeah, and I think that this year, considering we're still figuring out what the instrumentation is going to be and how many people can be performing, but if some of our composers are interested, they could help us create new arrangements, and depending on the legal rights, you know, of publishing and all of that. But we can definitely give you that opportunity too. It would serve us as an orchestra to have an arrangement, and also to have the person that did it in the orchestra. They will learn what we need in the parts. So I think that that's an amazing opportunity that maybe COVID has given us, that not a lot of people were performing arrangements except bands, right? So yeah, I think that that's an interesting possibility to develop.
Yeah, I can put you in touch with two of the grad students who are former TAs of the orchestras, and they've already expressed interest in writing for the orchestra and doing projects. So I'll put you in touch with them. I'll also put you in touch with Geneva, who's a member of the orchestra. She has an orchestra piece that she wanted to have the orchestra play today, so this year. So I'll send her your way, so you're in touch with all of them. And I can also put out a call to orchestra members for not only sort of composers, but you know, ideas, suggestions, and
yeah, I would love that. Yeah, and if anybody's interested in arrangements, I have a colleague that she has been creating new arrangements because of COVID. For it's more specifically for wind symphonies and bands, but she has been getting paid for it. So if you get good at it through school, it could be a good side job. I mean, she's been making money out of it, like $500 a month or something like that. And you know, if you're handy with technology and writing music on your computer, this could be a good side job and fun, and still be connected with music some way. So
yeah, when I was considering the reduction of Mala 4, there's a conductor named Jae Young Lee in Queens, and he's kind of famous for reducing all of the Mahler symphony for chamber orchestras. So that's actually his like his main like not just conducting and teaching, but like his arrangements of these reduced versions, chamber orchestra versions of Mahler symphonies are so popular that like that's how he makes a good portion of his salary.
yeah, amazing. I saw the other day one was, well, it was Tito Munoz, and I kind of follow him. He's my mentor, but he performed with us in Luke's orchestra, and he did an arrangement of Mahler 1. And you would think, oh, maybe the density of the orchestration will sound a little, I don't think so. I mean, you can hear that it's less dense, but the music is there, and that's what you want to hear, right? So it's really interesting for sure. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. And Tim, I hope I answered your question, but
So we have some board members, orchestra board members here as well, and currently they're having board elections to select the next year's orchestra board members. So if Sage or any other board members want to say something about the election process or about the board, this would be a great opportunity to engage in that.
Yeah, so we just started the election process, the voting process actually, and voting will be closing this Friday. So we should have next year's board kind of mostly ironed out by the weekend. But we had, I think, like 15 people running or rerunning. I'm rerunning myself. And it was very surprising because this past year we didn't have a vice president because we didn't have enough people running for board at all last year. But I mentioned that in like my call to applicants for board, and now we have like 11 people running for vice president. So yeah, that's kind of the state of things right now. We need to send out another reminder to the rest of orchestra to vote. It's pretty exciting though, seeing so many like freshmen, especially so interested in running for board. It's really, I don't know, I'm just really grateful that we have so many active freshmen, especially because you guys haven't had like an actual like in-person real, like, I guess it is in person now, but like an actual experience with orchestra yet. And yet you're still willing to like, I don't know, just provide your support and your expertise to the organization. So I'm really, really grateful for that. So the way we did it was simply just sent out a call to the orchestras, like, if you're interested in running for board, here are the positions. Here's a very brief summary of all the rules, and then fill out this Google form, and people could run for 3 positions max. And once we collected all the applicants, we then sent out kind of like a roster of all the people who had applied, and also another Google form for people to vote. And that's what's occurring right now. It's not a very, I don't know, like complicated process, but I think it will get a little bit complicated just because you have so many people running for one position, and then there's one position that nobody ran for at all whatsoever. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of moving around, and I hope our elected people are, sorry, my cat's yelling. I hope our elected people are flexible and willing to make some compromises there. Michelle, do you have any questions about like the process of, I guess, like switching over to the new board, how that's gonna work out?
yeah, tell me about the transition. And I was going to ask you, when do you have the final results so that I could meet them all, the new incoming members?
Yeah, so I think right now the timeline is looking to be the voting form is going to close on Friday, I think like Friday, 11:59 p.m. So then by that point, we should have the list of everybody who has been elected. And then I'll have to get in contact with some people to make sure that they're okay with the roles that they've been elected for, because some people ran for multiple positions. And as I said, there are positions that don't have anybody running for them right now. So we'll have to do a little bit of moving around. So hopefully that final roster will be finalized by Saturday. And then if possible, we'll have an old board and new board meeting with you, Michelle and Chris, of course, this Sunday. Maybe I think like 4 p.m. is the normal meeting time, if that's possible. If not, we can always schedule that again in the future. But yeah, it's happening really fast. So very exciting things. Usually the way that the transition works is just we have all old board members and new board members and the conductors. We all meet together for the rest of the semester. And that way the new board can get involved in the final like end of semester events so that they kind of are aware of what's going on, get more accustomed to their roles, have a little bit of mentorship from the old board members. It's like a tongue twister, old board. And then this transition generally occurs over the summer as well. Just some of the, I guess, like responsibilities of board need to be set up prior to the start of the next semester. So things like, I think the things that occur like right off the bat when we start in the fall semester, those will probably like start getting planned over the summer. Yeah, so it's just like a lot of communication, a lot of meetings, but it's a pretty chill process. The only thing I have like slight concerns about is that our year, this current year of board has not looked anything like what normal board would look like. So I don't know. There's just a lot of like unknown variables right now. What is going to occur for new board next year, and like what are the allowances for orchestra? What are we going to be able to do that looks more like a normal year? So yeah, it's just kind of a fun experiment, an adventure for everybody, a learning experience for everybody.
I mean, it'll be great, I'm sure. And also, I think that, I don't know if you've noticed or experienced this, but I've noticed that with the pandemic, especially musicians have been more open to being flexible, which is something that maybe we're not usually like that. And I think that it's a learning experience for everybody in a good way, you know, to be more empathetic with the other person and understand what's their situation. So yeah, that's great. And I can relate to all of this because I was in the Graduate Women's Association at the Arizona State University. So it was a good experience for me to be on the other side, you know, that we just do music, just to experience the other part of organizing that kind of stuff. So that's why I was asking, because we usually have a co-president for a year and then they overlap for a whole year and then there's an exiting. That co-president exits. So it's great that you have this meeting so that both parties can help each other out.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that that's so important is that our orchestra, although it's a curricular course of 3621 and 4621, the CSO and CCO, so many of the things that are important to our orchestra community happens because there is an active board, because there's a board that really cares. So our international tours, domestic tours, all of our activities that the orchestra does. I mean, just as an example, the Young Persons Concert couldn't happen without the board's help. And so it's really, really important for the old board transitioning to the new board. You know, I think there was a year where, actually a number of years, when the transition happened, it's so funny. A number of transitions happened without the old board sort of letting the new board what the ropes and steps are, right? So then what happened, and partly because of my inexperience of dealing with boards, I would sort of have a more laissez-faire attitude about the transitions. And then what would happen is the next board would sort of like struggle with the same issues rather than learning from the previous board. And so just as I was really mentored by my predecessor, John Hsu, I'm going to do that for Michelle, where she will have all the information that are necessary sort of to have a really successful year. So just one example in terms of working with the board, a treasurer, a person is really crucial in working with Michelle, because we finally reached this tier from student, there's a Cornell-wide SAFC funding mechanism, which funds student clubs. So it's our organization is a really sort of weird hybrid, so that because we're both a course that's curricular, but then the orchestra board is actually a student club that is registered. Right. So the orchestra board has been able to, and when we first started, the very first tier is you can only apply for $250. Now we're at a tier where we can apply for $8,000 of funding. So that is a very significant amount of funding that, you know, lots of what the orchestra does this year couldn't have happened without that funding, like renting music, having guest speakers, and all of this. So you know, Alex, our current treasurer, will work with the new treasurer, and then I'll work with Michelle to make sure that we don't lose that $8,000 tier level for next year, and that continues on, because there are a couple more tiers after that. So so that's just an example of how important and integral the board is.
No, that's amazing. I'm super excited. And I think I spoke with some of you of the board already. And I think that having a board is just such an exceptional thing. And in a good way, it shows how much you care about your orchestra and how committed you are. So I'm just thrilled to be a part of all of this and to help you achieve your goals too as students when you're in Cornell. So I'm really excited to work with all of you. Yeah, and I don't know if anybody else has any questions. I would love to hear from you. It can be any question.
While we're waiting for a question, I just want to thank this year's board because they've been pretty much been thrown everything that makes their job pretty much impossible to do because there have been so many restrictions. We can't meet in person, we can't gather in large numbers, but they have really tried hard to make orchestra members feel like a community. So I really want to thank their efforts.
Well, I would be interested, and something I plan on doing next year, if there's time and I need to manage my schedule, right? But after auditions, I would like to have a 10-minute conversation with each of you to know who you are, you know? I think that that's super important before we start playing together, to know what your interests are, what are you studying, you know? Besides what instrument you play, you're more than just an instrument. There's such a whole world behind you, right? So I want to make time for that, even if it's just 10 minutes, a quick 10-minute with each of you. But if you would like to tell me now, what are you studying, what instrument you play, just so that I get to know you a little better, I would love to know.
We can do it two ways. We can either just go around in a circle, or we can put your ear major instrument in the chat and then have more conversations.
Yeah, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, we're gonna do both.
I can start off. I'm currently a junior in arts and sciences, and I'm double majoring in information science and English with a music minor, hopefully. A lot of my interests these days have been centered around this course that I'm taking, a CS and info class for introduction to game development. That's been eating up all my time these days, working like 40 hours every 2 weeks on game development. Yeah, so something that I've just like genuinely loved about, I don't know why I'm talking about this all of a sudden, sorry, this is super unprompted, but like just something I've loved about Cornell and arts and sciences in particular is the ability to kind of do everything and anything you want. And so I've definitely been taking advantage of that by doing both like music things, CS type like tech things, writing poetry, all those things. Yeah, and I don't know, nobody asked for that.
Does that mean there'll be an app we can all play?
Eventually, yes, it should be a game that I can actually have people play. And yeah, we'll get there eventually, I guess.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's super amazing. You should make a music game or something.
Actually,
you should make like a virtual reality for conductors and musicians that cannot be in orchestras right now, and like they feel they're playing with their colleagues or something like that.
Yeah, if we can get everybody in orchestra, like a VR headset, we can get started on that with their SAFC funding. I am actually, something really exciting is that on my game dev team, I have a friend who's a composer. So he's actually composing all the in-game music, and like one of the main themes is based around a cello melody. So we'll actually be like doing recordings and things. So my playing will be in the game, which is so exciting.
That is really, really exciting.
We'll go next. I'm Tim. I'm also a junior. I'm a physics and music double major. I'm one of the few music majors, as Chris likes to mention. You know, there's not too many of us, but I play oboe and piano, but I'm also interested in conducting. And I was wondering if we could talk offline maybe about that, you know, after this. But I'm actually going to be doing a music honors project, hopefully with conducting and leading an orchestra program next year. So, you know, to pitch to all of you, if you want to join, I'm looking for musicians. So if you want to play in, you know, an ensemble that I'll be leading, please let me know. But
You will
yeah,
have food.
Yeah. You gotta always have the free food, the free snacks. But yeah, I went with the orchestra to Taiwan, and orchestra's like, you know, it's like the highlight, you know, of my my experience. And I really love doing score study and reading about the histories and of the pieces, and I've written program notes. So I'm always happy to talk about that with anybody. And of course, oboe. You know, I like, you know, I'm a wind player, and I love talking about wind and stuff too. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Yeah, whenever you want to, you can talk about conducting. That's wonderful. And I'll help you organize whatever you need. You need a
Cool,
lot of
thanks.
free pizza for everybody. That's how you get them.
You get the Dominoes from in Ithaca.
Yeah. Who else? Danielle, maybe if you want to.
Hi, my name's Danielle. I'm a freshman, soon to be a sophomore, which is crazy. But anyway, I'm a violinist and I'm majoring in info sci right now. So it's going really well. It's definitely been an interesting semester. But I was on campus in the fall. I decided to stay home this spring and it's been really fun. And I've just been doing a lot of hiking. That's basically what I've been doing, and baking. So, yep, that's about it.
Sounds good. It doesn't sound like the typical freshman year, but you will have a story for a lifetime, you know. Jonah. Oh yeah, when.
Yeah, hi, I'm Yawen. I'm a sophomore in Arts and Sciences. I'm doing CS with a creative writing minor. And I play violin. I also do marching band here. I play the baritone, but it's been a while since I did that. But yeah, I like kind of have tried a bunch of instruments here. But yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. That's awesome. Have the band been playing at all outside, or how?
No, not at all. Actually, no, they just started in-person rehearsals, but I haven't gone. So, yeah.
Cool. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Jonah?
Yeah, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Jonah. I'm a senior. I'm actually graduating this semester, so I won't be around for too much longer, but I'll be happy to stick around to help out with the transition. I play the viola, and so I'm double majoring right now in biology and chemistry because I couldn't really decide between the two, and the same is sort of continuing to happen. I'm doing my PhD at Johns Hopkins in the chemistry biology interface program. So yeah, that's where I'll be next year. But yeah, nice to meet you.
That's amazing. Congratulations. I remember you from the board meeting.
Yeah.
You're the only viola player. There was something going on there as usual, but I remember you. Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hopefully that to do orchestra there too.
Yeah. I like it that your last name is Capella, which is, you know, really musical in some way. So you will always be connected with music, you know. Dylan? Oh, we can't hear you for some reason.
You're still muted, Dom.
Oh, okay. You can fix your audio. We can move on to Ronan.
Oh, hi, I'm Ronan. I'm also in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm majoring in math. I'm a freshman. And what was the other thing?
What do you play?
What do I play? Oh, sorry, I played a cello.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Meet you.
Cool.
Aiden.
Hi, my name's Aiden. I also play the cello. I'm in the College of Engineering, planning on majoring in ECE, maybe CS, still figuring that out. It's a process. Pre-enroll is scary. That's most about me. I'm the other cello right now in symphony along with Ronan. And I also like sort of audio engineering, so maybe the other aspect of music. I spend too many hours on my computer editing audio. And
what do you edit? What do you work on?
so like just whatever projects I have, whether it be like a song or there's this one thing I was doing a while back for sort of like a virtual concert for Lincoln Center, but it sort of got put on hold. But yeah, I do a lot of like mixing, mastering, and like post-production.
Well,
I have to do a shout out to Aiden because he helped us edit the audio together of the two orchestras playing the Florence Price Adoration that was played at the COVID Remembrance concert. If it wasn't for Aiden, I think I would have been trying to figure something out for like 12 hours of, you know, novice editing. But so Thank you.
That's amazing. Well, thank you. I was gonna say that I actually have a minor in, my minor is in, it's a weird name in Spanish, so I'll just say basically that it's like audio engineering for like putting like sound effects and doing some editing for videos and stuff like that. So I have basic knowledge, and my partner is actually an audio engineer in the Navy. So if we need a hand, we can, you know, ask out for help and figure it out. But yeah, if I bet we could still record some stuff this year, even if, you know, things are back to some kind of normal. I bet your families, if they're far away, would love to see the concerts. I don't know if you do any live streamings, Chris. I'm not sure about that.
So our plan, actually, Jeff Meyer advised me against doing a live stream. So what we're doing is we're recording, having sort of each piece is going to have their own sort of 2-hour recording session, and then we'll have multiple video angles. Alfred, our video audio engineer, is going to be having like a roving cam, and so hopefully it'll be a really visually sort of engaging concert rather than sort of a fixed one camera shot, because I think the Bailey Hall has reduced staffing. So if we did a live streaming option, we wouldn't even have our usual multiple angle cameras, because Bailey Hall has five different cameras we could have used, but that's not available to us. It wasn't. So it was either have a one camera that's static for the entire concert, and then I sort of decided against that and have a much more dynamic presentation.
Oh, I love the dynamic presentation. I think it's much better. I'm just gonna give them a backstory. Jeffrey Meyer was my teacher at Arizona State through my doctoral degree. So that's why I was laughing, because I was helping out as a TA with all the live streams, you know. And it has its hiccups. It's not a perfect thing, and it depends on the internet connection. So I think that that's such a much better option if you have the means and the people to help out. Perfect. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, in fact, it wasn't just Jeff, actually. It was like several of my colleagues who were weighing the option between live stream and pre-recorded, and not a single one said, "Oh, I prefer live stream." So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. I don't know if any of the people that are not on camera but would love to introduce themselves, Rico or Jack or Guillermo. I said it very in a Spanish way. Irene or Grace, and Lisa.
I can go. I'm Grace. I'm a sophomore studying art history, and I'm in the college scholar program, so that's my other major. And I'm a violinist in CSO, usually not this semester, but I am on board. And yeah, I'm just very excited about being able to get back to in-person playing next year, and very excited about playing alongside you.
Yeah. Well, you know, I had 2 full years of art history in my undergraduate, and I think it's so crucial to everybody. It's so connected with music. So if you're interested, I think that there are some things that the orchestra can learn from it. I don't know how many art history majors there are out there in the orchestra, but I think there's something we can do.
It's a very small major. I think there's 5 people in my year.
Wow. Well, trust me, we'll take advantage of it, because I'm a huge nerd of art history. So look, I have King Hela behind me. I don't know if you can see, it's an Argentinian painter, but so yeah, I love museums. I love learning about it. And I mean it, there's such a huge, like very tight connection with music that sometimes we miss out on. So you can definitely help us out on that. Orchestra social event at Johnson Museum. I don't know where Johnson Museum is, but I'll say yes. Awesome.
One year, so Johnson Museum is this IMPay design building on campus. And one year, I think this was like 4 or 5 years ago, they had this really like really swanky event. It was like an art opening, but then there's like cocktails, but like it was run by a student group. And I was like, oh, we should do that. So
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. Please keep it in mind, board members. Who's next? Who wants to go next? Rico?
Yeah, I'm Rico. I'm in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm a freshman. I play the cello. I'm studying astrophysics with a minor in math. I've been remote this whole year, so I'm excited to play in person.
Awesome. Is there a piece you're looking forward to performing or something you've been particularly listening to?
Not really. I just really want to play with everyone.
Awesome. Me too. So that's good. Jack.
Yeah, hello. I'm Jack. I'm a sophomore in the College of Human Ecology, and I play violin. My major is Human Biology, Health, and Society, which is kind of a long major. And I also am double minoring in Health Policy and Global and Public Health Studies. So I'm very much like pre-med and pre-health oriented. But when I'm not doing healthcare related stuff, I really enjoy playing violin, and also I play some piano in my free time. Yeah, and so orchestra has been a really fun outlet for me to be able to like unwind and do something that's not so like academic for me. And a piece that I've always wanted to play, just FYI, is The Pines of Rome. So
You know, this is hilarious you mentioned this. First of all, I'm so impressed by all of you. I'm already a proud teacher and I'm not even there yet. But Pines of Rome, I think you did it last year with Kiki. And it's funny because without even looking at the repertoire, and when I was interviewing for the position, I was like, we should do Pines of Rome. And then when I went to see the previous repertoire, Pines of Rome was the first piece you did. And I was like, no, it's my favorite piece. So maybe we'll repeat it. I don't know. This tradition is quite big and I don't know if we could do it this year, but I promise you, if I stay, that piece will come back soon. But yeah, congratulations on everything you're doing. That's amazing.
thank
And
you.
I
Yeah.
promise I'll keep orchestra fun. I promise. It will be fun. You'll be really good at it and I'll be demanding and I am demanding, but I'll do it with a smile. You'll see. Who's next? Irene?
Hello, I don't know if you can see me, but
Yeah, so that's good.
I'm Irene. I'm a freshman from College of Arts and Sciences. I am planning to major in music. I have been studying remotely for my first year, so I'm excited to meet new people next year. I'm actually playing the orchestra.
What did you say you play?
Oh, I play the flute.
Flute. Oh, awesome. You're one of our woodwinds. Amazing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next year. It's been a very virtual year, so I can't wait to see actual people. And I probably will be weird at the beginning for all of us to be social, right? But we'll get into it. It'll be fine. Sage is the poet. Oh, yes, she is, right? I would like to read something from you. Who's next? Guillermo?
Hi, my name is Guillermo. I'm a senior in the College of Arts and Sciences, but I actually started a leave of absence the beginning of this semester. So I'm hoping to come back spring of 2022. I'm a violinist, as you can see there. There's a nice story behind that. I think I was either 8 or 10 when I was playing, practicing in my room, and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, the violin was on the ground and the scroll was like rolled away. So I went, this was a school rental, so we had to go back to the school, and somehow my dad convinced them to let us keep it. So now it's just hanging on my wall. So it's like, it's a nice souvenir.
It's an amazing story. And I look forward to having you in the spring. Yeah, keep in touch and you can get connected on what we're doing during the fall. Like, don't feel like you cannot be a part of it. You know, you can still be a part of it. And I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the first webinars I've attended in a while. But it's nice to see those Zoom links come frequently. So I'll be tuning in.
Awesome. Yeah, whenever you can and feel like it, that's good. And Lisa.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lisa. I'm a staff member here at Cornell. I work in the Language Resource Center. And I really would like to thank Professor Kim for making these sessions open. I'm a huge music fan. I play piano, not professionally, but I love piano. I'm a Cornell alum. I graduated in the 80s, and I took piano lessons with a graduate student of Professor Jonathan Shames, who was a professor of piano here at Cornell. And I remember the graduate student was a specialist in Schubert. So I went in learning Schumann with him, but I really developed a long-lasting love of Schubert thanks to him. I did undergrad and graduate school at Cornell. My field is international relations and Southeast Asian studies. Spent many years in Asia. I work here at Cornell in the Language Resource Center, and I work on supporting all our students and faculty in studying languages, from the most commonly taught language at Cornell, which is Spanish, to the least commonly taught languages, which are like Romanian and Tamil, Sinhala, Czech, for example. In working with the music department, I've worked with faculty to set up Italian language sections of their classes. So I've worked with Professor Neil Zaslaw, which was a total joy. I was always in awe of him, and so very happy to work with him. So I set up over three semesters Italian language component to his classes, working with a graduate student in Romance Studies who's a native speaker. And I also have worked with Professor Rebecca Harris Warwick of your department, and setting up Italian for opera with her, which was also a total joy. I've worked with a graduate student named Samantha in getting her set up with Czech classes. She's a graduate student in music, and she wants to study Czech to work on opera, I think comparative opera. So my association was with Rusalka when we first met, but she's interested in German and Austrian opera. So for all of you students, I'll put my name and email in the chat. I'm a staff member. I'm usually here on campus, normally in Stimson Hall, which is very close to Lincoln. This year I've been working remotely, but for any of you who are interested in music, for any of you who are interested in languages, feel free to get in touch with me and I can help you. I'd be very happy to help you. I helped a student in the Glee Club who was interested in studying Cayuga, Wolof, and Catalan a few years ago. He was very good at languages. So if you have any questions, let me know. I did work on a couple events in the museum, Prints, Pianos, and Poems. So I worked on providing the multilingual poetry for those events, which was really nice. So we may be able to do those in the future when the museum gets going again. So thank you so much for including me, and good luck to all of you students. Stay well, and we'll look forward to seeing you on campus.
Yeah, very nice to meet you. That's amazing.
Yeah, and our sessions are always open to the whole community, so you are always welcome in our sessions.
Thank you. I love attending these. I'm a huge music fan. I wish I could, do more than my Schubert lessons many years ago, but that was wonderful. So on the piano. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.
I was in one of those Italian flacks actually with Professor Zaslaw, no less, and I just want to say it was really nice.
Hi,
supplement
Tim.
for my class.
That's great. So Julia, she's gotten awards. This was their TA, was named Julia.
Mm-hmm.
So she's gotten teaching awards, and she's graduating, and I'm so heartbroken, but because she was our wonderful Italian teacher for music and opera. So that's great, Tim. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, and if everything goes according to plan, there's a French opera we will be performing. So you can start learning French if you want to understand what you will be playing with, or on the bottom of, or accompanying. So.
Okay, well, if there are faculty in music who want a French language section, you can just get in touch with me and I can try to set that up.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
And I don't know if any other questions have popped in your head while we were speaking about other topics. It can be anything. And if you want to learn more about me, you can go to my website, curriculum-wise, or my bio, or what I did more in a structural, formal way, just saying. I think the museum idea is popping. Well, I like it.
So, I mean, one of the great thing about Cornell is this very wide community. So, I've always tried to collaborate with different places, different departments, different areas of the university. So, you know, and a lot of those collaborations came from the members in the orchestra who suggested things. So, Laura Spittler, who was a bass player, and she was an astronomy grad student, and then she was part of a team that was organizing a conference, and they were going to have like 1,600 astronomers coming to campus. And so, I was kind of toying with the idea of doing planets by Gustav Holst. And Laura said, you should talk to my advisor. I said, okay. So then we had a meeting, and then basically the orchestra ended up playing at the conference. And then Laura actually was in charge of the video images that would accompany the orchestra while we played the Gustav Holst. And then there was also a Roberto Sierra percussion concerto that we premiered called Anillos, and the very recent photos of the rings of Saturn were the accompanying images for that piece. And then we would have we're playing this piece, and then once in a while there would be a yelp from the audience because the team who was responsible for the image that's being shown, they're the people who photographed that picture, right? And so it was kind of a surreal experience to be playing for those set of astronomers who are responsible for those images. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, and if you have any ideas, please share them with me. I would love to hear what you're thinking of.
Yeah. So, for example, Jack, I think you should sort of lean into your specialty and write up a document for protocols for orchestras to safely perform in person, because that's actually a document that's everybody's asking for, right? Because in many institutions they're still not allowed to rehearse in person, and ourselves getting the protocols to be in person approved was a lot of meetings, a lot of hoops. And so we actually have two operations students, undergrads, who helped us calculate what would be the safe distancing and positions of the orchestra members in Bailey and Klarman. And if it wasn't for that operations team, which I read about in the Cornell Sun, and I just got a hold of them, and they helped us calculate those settings. So and that's actually really needed documentation and paper that can be put to use right away.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's a great idea.
So this is a little more closer to home, but Michelle, I don't know if Chris mentioned, but the Cornell Music Department has this really fantastic historical keyboards collection. And Cornell's really fortunate. We have things ranging from clavichords to harpsichords up to modern replicas of different pianofortes. And it's in this building that's just north of West Campus, which is down the slope. I don't know if you're familiar with the layout of Cornell, but I'll send the link in the chat. You can look at past concerts. But it's run actually partly through one of my advisors, my music advisor, Professor David Yearsley. But they also have the organ, and they just have a lot of exciting keyboards at a lot of institutions. They had an organ conference, and I've been fortunate enough to attend and get to meet the different professors. So that would be an exciting opportunity for us maybe next year. If we can't perform in large ensembles, we can do Baroque or classical or smaller. I know Chris this year did Joseph Boulogne. And we could work with some smaller ensembles and take advantage of the fact that we have all these instruments that are really cool, and work with these other pieces if we can do chamber music, say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think one of the ideas I have, depending on how many people can be on stage, and I'm not sure what Cornell requirements are on airing out the room after you perform or rehearse. I'm not, each school has different requirements, so I need to get on board with that. But we can definitely perform in different ensembles of different numbers, of different styles, and really get to work on everything, and each person can kind of rotate through those different types of repertoire. And we can just take turns in rehearsing throughout the time that we have allotted for rehearsals in general. I just need to make sure that if there needs to be 15 minutes in between just to clean out the air or that kind of stuff, we just prepare for that and maybe have shorter concerts or whatever it is. But I'm super interested in doing something like that for sure.
I just sent a link to a YouTube video that the Music at Cornell YouTube channel posted relatively recently. It's a few of the staff members performing the original Brahms Piano Trio #1.
Sorry, I tried to mute it as fast as I can. This thing just started. I opened it too fast, but yeah, sorry.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah, and they recorded it in the historical piano collection room, like on one of the pianos that would have been used in the time, and it's really pretty. So you should listen to it. My piano trio this semester is actually playing the revised version of that. And yeah, speaking of which, is anybody else here performing in the chamber concert that's like on what, May 17th? If there's like a stream link to that or something, I'll definitely send it out to the orchestra.
Is that an in-person thing or is it a pre-recorded?
It's an in-person thing, but no audience members. So only people who are actually performing are allowed. And I think it's like ensembles that involve pianos will be performing inside barns, and then all like non-piano ensembles will be performing outside, like near the Cornell store or something. So it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, I mean, I'm learning about the school, right? But do you have any chamber programs in general? So
Yeah.
you have small ensembles. Okay.
Yeah, so we have a general chamber program. I think currently it's being run by Juliana Popinski, who is the flute faculty member. And it's just a simple audition process, kind of like orchestra, where you audition with like a couple solo pieces and like scales and things. And then they kind of put you into ensemble groups. And then they assign you a coach, and you like meet once a week on your own to practice, and then also get a coaching once a week. There's also like, I know my piano trio was formed because we all like knew each other, or we got in contact with each other beforehand, and we said we want to be a group together. So that's also a thing. Yeah, I think it's a very fulfilling program. It's for definitely good, like a good option for people who still want to be involved in like playing in the music department, especially this semester. Like, I'm really grateful for the fact that chamber music has been able to be like in person for the entire semester.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, for sure. That's really cool. Great. Any other questions, comments, things I need to know? What's the biggest thing I need to know to make you all happy and so that we have a great year together?
I had kind of I don't know who would know the answer to this question, but for next semester's classes, it seems like CSO is now Tuesday, Thursday, while CCO is Monday, Wednesday. Is there a reason for that change?
That's a mix-up. So that's going to be fixed because we're trying to. But I'm not getting sort of a clearance about where each of those will be meeting. The request that I put in is that both groups should be meeting in Bailey Hall. So I'm starting that process now. Because if I understand correctly, the location of the class hasn't been assigned yet. So and that location determines like how big it can be, like what repertoire. So there's a lot of like dominoes that fall depending on where each of those classes are being held. So the request that I put in is that both orchestras should be meeting in Bailey Hall. But as previous semesters, it's going through a process.
So is there? It seems as though, despite like the semester in the university moving to normal, orchestra still isn't going to be able to be as like close as we used to be.
Well, that's the answer I get is we will have an answer at a later date. So far, so yeah. And I will update both everybody in the orchestra and also Michelle what that process is. So
yeah, I don't know what are the possibilities, but I'm thinking, if we want to keep our number of the orchestra and try to perform that way, and if they don't let us be as many on stage and we have to split in half or something like that, there's there's still ways we could all perform, right, by having different pieces allotted to some people perform this, other perform this, which is kind of what you've been doing this semester, this past half of the semester, right, Chris? So I think that everybody could still perform and we can find a way. Are there any other rehearsal spaces that could be used simultaneously with Bailey Hall at that time? Just one thing.
Well, I mean, so that gets a little bit complicated because it involves scheduling. So there are a lot of pieces at work. There's both within the music department courses and ensemble that is competing for spaces, but then also in the university, there are a large lecture courses that demand to be in a place like Bailey Hall. So this year what happened was in the fall, the curricular course status of CSO didn't make a difference in terms of being able to hold that space as our own curricular space. They determined that courses like Psych 101, Psych, the Intro to Psych, where the lecture, the number of students in the lecture section demanded that they have priority to Bailey Hall. So those courses got priority to Bailey Hall, and the music department was completely shut out of that process. So in the spring, we basically, I presented the protocols to be safely rehearsing in Bailey Hall. So we were able to sort of jam our foot into scheduling and to reserve Bailey Hall for the orchestra's use. So, so it worked in some ways, and they didn't approve the protocols until well into the semester, so that we couldn't begin rehearsing until March 29. So I'm having gone through that process once already. I'm hoping that that foot that I've jammed into that space will be jammed in there for both orchestras, rather than not knowing what the status is until a later date. So, but now I kind of know who sort of annoy and pester, so that we get the answer sooner.
Well, that's good to know, always. Any other questions?
Oh, would you be open to doing tours? Like, I don't know if it's possible next year.
Yeah, I'm open to doing tours. I don't think it depends on me, unfortunately. Chris has more information about this. I would love to go on tour with all of you. We just need to see if it can happen.
Yeah, so I talked briefly with Michelle about this, and I'm gonna probably, and this is partly why I invited the tour committee. So I'm glad Guillermo's here. So, and I would really encourage the tour committee that was formed in the fall to start working with Michelle. As of, we got an email within the last 2 days that international travel is approved for faculty starting June 1. So that's sort of the first trench that we kind of reached, right? So because most of the time the tour planning process, especially if you want to have a collaborative partner, needs to have a long time frame. I would advise the tour committee to work with Michelle with the understanding that permission from the university for a orchestra travel may not come this year for January 22 tour. But then it's sort of a process that if you want a collaborative partner sort of to host us at a later date, then that planning process has to start, right? So I would encourage the tour committee to work with Michelle and plan for a tour. And at this point, we don't know when that will be. We don't know when the university will feel safe enough that they're not open to liability from your parents from allowing a student orchestra to travel to an international destination during the pandemic. So that's a question mark that we can't answer at this time point, right? But if the will is there to travel, then I think that planning process needs to start now, right? So that if, let's say, best case scenario, vaccine rate shoots up and Europe is open, or whichever destination that we want to have a collaborative partner is open to travel for U.S. Institutions like Cornell, then it might well be possible that some point in 22 we might be able to do some kind of a tour, right? I'm already seeing tour companies open up locations that have opened up to U.S. citizens. I just got an email today from a tour company that arranges orchestra tours. So it is moving in that direction, perhaps not as fast as we want it to go.
Yeah, and I feel like even if we start planning and it doesn't go through this year, it's still good work that we put in for the following year, and everything will run smoothly and we'll have more money saved up or fundraised and all of that. So it's never a bad idea to start early, even if it doesn't happen this year. Irene?
Would we be auditioning in person this time, or will we be submitting audition videos?
So I'm going to leave that option for Michelle, because on one hand, all students will be vaccinated to be on campus. So I think it is a much more safer environment to be having in-person auditions. And so, but that's sort of really up to our applied faculty, who usually helps with auditions, how comfortable they feel and how comfortable Michelle feels. So, but you know, there's pros and cons of the video audition, right? Of course, one is you have multiple sort of tries to get it in, but of course there are only so much information you can get from a video audition, right? So I think it really is helpful for Michelle to be able to hear you in person in an audition. So that's up to Michelle and our applied faculty, who will be helping with the audition process.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather hear you in person. I will see what happens. I have a meeting with the band director, the conductor, so in a couple of weeks, so maybe I'll have more information on what they've been talking about, and I can let you all know. But for now, yeah, we'll see. I'm sorry we don't have any definite answers for some questions, but we're still in the middle of a pandemic, unfortunately. So I'm just already happy of being able to perform with all of you in whatever capability or capacity. That's already, I think, a big win for all of us.
Yeah, so remember, like last summer, we couldn't convince Cornell. They wouldn't even allow us to propose a safe protocol to be in person. So, and I submitted like 3 different proposals, different protocols, none of which were approved. So that process going into spring, you know, the only reason it came through was because I had a list of about 20 institutions, both our peer institutions, other school of music, conservatories, universities, who were safely and through the fall semester used the protocols that I had presented without transmissions. And so if it wasn't for that sort of proof of concept from other institutions, Cornell wouldn't have went for it. So now we have not only the 20 or so institutions that have been safely practicing for safe protocols for a year, but we have been safely had safe protocols this spring. So it's, I mean, of course, the pandemic could get worse and that equation could change. But in terms of, I think no one from Cornell is putting the percentage of possibility that Cornell will not be in person, right? That's off the table, I think, at this point. And I think I think the worst case scenario is we do orchestra as it was done in the spring, this semester, right? But I think best case scenario, we'll be able to have more members in the orchestra, and we'll have both both orchestras be able to use Bailey Hall and in larger numbers. So, yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Chris. Anybody else has any questions?
All right, well, it is 2 minutes to 6. So why don't we do a group photo? And here's Gillis. And I will give Michelle's contact info to the orchestra. So please feel welcome to reach out to her with questions that you were too shy to ask in this session. We will have this video available for the rest of the membership at large, and I'll be doing my best to make sure the transition is smooth, that Michelle really is set up for success next year, and I'm sure the current board is going to do the same thing with the incoming board. So, okay, all right. So let me take a few pictures. Here's 1, 2, 3. Okay.
I love it. No time to think. Go.